He killed 40 million people. That's 11% of the entire planet's population. He built the largest land empire in human history, stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, and he did it in just 25 years. He's also the reason we have international mail, diplomatic immunity, and widespread religious freedom. His DNA is inside 1 in every 200 men alive today. That's 16 million direct descendants. This is the real story of Genghis Khan, not the cartoon villain from your history books. Our story begins not with an emperor, but with a boy named T. Born into a minor noble family, his life was shattered at age 9. His father, a respected clan leader, was poisoned by a rival tribe, the Tatars. The tribe, seeing no use for a child leader, abandoned Temujin, his mother, and his 6 siblings, leaving them to fend for themselves on the harsh Mongolian steppe. This was a death sentence. They survived by foraging for roots and fishing, constantly on the brink of starvation. It was during these brutal years that the seeds of the future Khan were sown. Survival was a daily battle, and Temujin learned that mercy was a luxury he couldn't afford. This lesson became chillingly clear when he killed his own half-brother Begtar in a dispute over a fish. It was a cold, calculated act to establish his authority and ensure his own survival. He was just a teenager. His hardships were far from over. Soon after, a rival clan ambushed their camp and took Temujin captive, forcing him into slavery. He was locked in a wooden collar, a kang, paraded as a trophy. But the fire within him refused to be extinguished. One night, during a festival when his guards were drunk and distracted, he saw his chance. Using the wooden collar as a weapon, he knocked a guard unconscious and escaped into the night, hiding in a river with only his nose above the water until the search party passed. This daring escape became the stuff of legend. It wasn't just a flight to freedom. It was a declaration. Temujin would not be broken. He would not be a victim. He would be a conqueror. After his escape, Temujin began the painstaking process of building his power base. He sought out an old ally of his father, a powerful chieftain named Togrul, who took him under his wing. He also reunited with his childhood friend Jamuka, who became his blood brother, his Enta. Together, they started to gather followers, their reputation for strength and loyalty attracting warriors from across the steppe. Temujin's first major military test came when his wife, Bert, was kidnapped by the Merkit tribe in act of revenge for his father having stolen his mother years earlier. For Temujin, this was personal. With the help of Togrul and Jamuka, he led a daring raid, crushed the Merkits, and rescued his wife. This victory cemented his status as a formidable leader. He wasn't just a survivor anymore. He was a warrior chief, a man who protected his own and exacted terrible vengeance on his enemies. As Temujin's influence grew, so did the tension with his blood brother Jamuka. They were 2 different kinds of leaders. Temujin promoted men based on merit and loyalty, regardless of their lineage, creating a fiercely loyal army of men who owed everything to him. Jamuka, on the other hand, adhered to the traditional aristocratic system, favoring high-born relatives. Their rivalry eventually erupted into open warfare. The final confrontation was a massive battle where Temujin's disciplined, merit-based army faced Jamuka's traditional tribal coalition. Temujin's innovative tactics and the unwavering loyalty of his soldiers won the day. He captured Jamuka, who asked for a noble death, to be killed without spilling blood, as was custom for Mongolian nobility. Temujin granted his request, having Jamuka's back broken. With his greatest rival gone, there was no one left to challenge him. In 1206, at a grand assembly called a Kurultai, the chieftains of all the united Mongol tribes proclaimed him Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. With the Mongol tribes united under his iron fist, Genghis Khan turned his eyes outward. His ambition was no longer just to rule the steppe, it was to conquer the world. His first major target was the formidable Khwarezmian Empire, a vast and wealthy kingdom in Central Asia. Initially, he sought trade, not war. He sent a caravan of merchants and diplomats to the Khwarezmian Shah, but the governor of a border city in a fatal miscalculation, accused them of being spies, executed the merchants, and shaved the heads of the diplomats, a grave insult. When a second envoy was sent to demand justice, the Shah had the lead diplomat killed and sent the others back, again with their beards shaved. This was an unforgivable offense to the Mongols. Genghis Khan was enraged. He climbed a mountain, prayed for 3 days, and vowed a revenge so total it would be spoken of for centuries. What followed was not just a war, it was an apocalypse. Genghis Khan unleashed the full might of his Mongol horde 200,000 warriors on the Khwarezmian Empire. For 3 years, they swept across the land like a plague. Cities that resisted were not just conquered, they were erased. Samarkand, Bukhara, urgent centers of learning and culture were reduced to rubble, their populations slaughtered. The Khan's revenge on the governor, who started it all, was particularly gruesome. Legend says he had molten silver poured into the man's eyes and ears. Some accounts even say it was molten gold, poured down his throat. The message was clear: defy the Khan, and your entire civilization will be wiped from existence. By the time the Mongols were done, the once mighty Khwarezmian Empire was nothing but a memory. Its lands absorbed into the ever-expanding Mongol dominion. How did a nomadic army from the plains defeat vast fortified empires? The answer lies in their secret weapon, the Mongol horse archer. These weren't just soldiers, they were the most advanced military units of their time. Every Mongol warrior was a master horseman, trained from childhood to shoot a bow with deadly accuracy while riding at a full gallop. Their composite bow was a marvel of engineering, powerful enough to pierce armor at long distances. They could ride for days on end, sleeping in the saddle and even drinking blood from their horses' veins to survive. Their tactics were brilliant and terrifying. They would feign retreat, luring their enemies into a trap, then turn and shower them with arrows from all sides, in a move called the Parthian shot. They used psychological warfare, lighting extra campfires to exaggerate their numbers and using captured civilians as human shields. They were a storm of death that no army of the era could withstand. In 1227, at the height of his power, Genghis Khan died. The circumstances are shrouded in mystery. Some say he fell from his horse during a hunt. Others claim he died from injuries sustained in battle or succumbed to an illness. One persistent legend claims he was killed by a captive princess who hid a knife and assassinated him on their wedding night. Whatever the cause, his death was kept a closely guarded secret. His soldiers carried his body back to Mongolia, killing every person and animal they encountered along the way to ensure no one could ever report the location of his funeral procession. According to his will, he was buried in a secret, unmarked tomb somewhere on a sacred mountain. To keep the location hidden forever, the 80 soldiers who buried him were executed by another group of soldiers, who were then themselves executed. Legend says a river was diverted to flow over his grave, erasing it from the landscape. To this day, the tomb of Genghis Khan has never been found, and perhaps it never will be. But Genghis Khan left behind more than just a mystery. He left a prophecy. It is said he believed his descendants would rule the world for 800 years. As his empire eventually fractured and faded, this seemed like a forgotten boast. But look around today. 8 centuries later, the world he created is still taking shape. He shattered old empires and cleared the way for new ones. He opened the Silk Road, creating the first truly global network of trade and communication between East and West, laying the groundwork for the modern globalized world. His genetic legacy is undeniable, a biological empire that has outlasted his territorial one, and the prophecy. Some interpret it not as a continuous rule, but as a resurgence, a time when the spirit of the Khana, spirit of relentless ambition, innovation, and conquest would rise again. That time is now. This man didn't just change history, he rewrote the genetic code of humanity. Legends never die. They multiply. This spirit of conquest lives on. The Johaina tribe is forging the modern conquerors, unstoppable men and women who take territory in business, tech, and power. the same way the Khan took continents. If you have that fire in your blood, if you refuse to live a small life, then your horde is calling. We are a tribe of wolves in a world of sheep. We fund each other's empires, protect each other's flanks, and we dominate together. The world is waiting. Ride with us or be ridden over. If you believe you have what it takes, send us your resume and one sentence proving you are a wolf. Join the horde. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join us on our next ride through history.